Is this going to make it through one flight? Before talking about this, let's first talk about this thing. So this is Racerstar's new motor. And what's really interesting is that we now have Racerstar making super premium motors for not even a super premium price. This is a $21 motor, it might be $22. And we have Brother Hobby making super budget motors. So this might indicate that the inflection point in this hobby is sort of complete, where we have an absolute upside downing of all these companies doing what they do. And so this motor is quality through and through, to my surprise. I don't know if they learned how to do this from T-Motor or their other collaborations, or I don't know if iFlight is making this motor for them, because I haven't seen anybody but iFlight or Racerstar be able to do this kind of patterning onto aluminum. But this motor has strong magnets, a magnet lip, curved magnets, very thick magnets, what looks like 0.15 millimeter laminations, some really nice looking thick windings. Shaft looks nice, screw retained bottom, 9 millimeter bearings. I mean, this thing's got everything, and it's got an awesome look to it at that, and this really nice gray wire, which feels fantastic too. So I'm just surprised to see this, and this is a great segue into this, which is the Tyro 129. So I didn't build this on the original Tyro frame because mine didn't come with one of the camera mounts, and since I have this stuff and it's kind of boring to just build it the way it is because other people will do that, and who really cares about this thing to begin with, I decided to build it on to this, and I really spent the time building this thinking about it. Before going any further, I would say this battery configuration is absolutely not optimal. Don't do this. I'm only doing this for testing purposes and nothing more. And also, people are probably going to be antsy about the kind of misbalanced nature of this quad. As you can see, it clearly flies totally fine. I have built quads that are imbalanced many times in the past. I made a whole frame of it, and it was a very popular frame. If I had an option, I would have a forward bias for various aerodynamic and thrust reasons. This particular quad is extremely unbalanced because it's got a vertical standing battery up front right behind the GoPro, and sure, it's extra unbalanced, so it kind of balances right here, which is actually not that far off from the middle of the quad. So it's not really that far off. If you put this battery on top of this battery, it would be balanced, and it would fly like any other balanced quad, which it already flies like any other balanced quad. So I'm just gonna cut that and continue on with this discussion. So I'm gonna skip the discussion of all the parts real quick and first talk about what I think is the most important aspect of this quad in general. So Eachine has somehow gotten this thing out the door for $129. That is a full 7-inch quad with everything you need but the receiver to fly it. 7-inch quad, and that includes a GPS unit. And not to mention, the VTX also has smart audio on it. I doubt they're paying TBS for the smart audio like they're supposed to, which is probably why they didn't wire the wire into the connector for the smart audio. If you want smart audio, you're going to have to wire that wire in yourself. But as Albert Kim has showed, it does work. So the question here is, who is this thing really made for? Do these companies actually target a specific market? Or do we just make these things willy-nilly and just hope for the best? I would bet the latter, but in general, I wouldn't really recommend this thing to anybody. But the person buying it probably already knows what they're doing, because the performance of this quad is great. It's not a bad performing quad. It might be a little bit of a reliability factor, but let's go over the components now, and I'll talk a little bit more about what I mean by who is this thing made for, who can actually buy this, who can take advantage of this. So starting with the motors, which is what I think the most important part of this quad, because they are the most valuable thing in the entire kit. These are 2507 motors, and 2507, as I've found in the past, the 2508 motors are great for 7-inch. I personally like the 2806.5 motors from Brother Hobby a little bit more, but those are $31 motors, and I haven't looked up the price of this thing, but I bet that this is way less than $31. But what do you get for $31? So I left the motor inside, but I'll just tell you what the differences are. So this motor is using an 8mm bearing, not even a 9mm bearing. It has a 3mm shaft in there. It's got a C-clip under there. It's got nice, beefy, thick magnets, but they are weak magnets. The air gap is wide. They're square magnets. The magnets are just narrow as well. There's just nothing special about the magnets. You can sure as anything bet that this is the softest aluminum there is available in the market, and the prop shaft is built directly into the bell of the motor. Now, I'll get back to the motor in a second, but let's go over the rest of the parts. The ESC in there is, who knows what it is, but it is the sketchiest looking ESC I have ever used. I showed in another video how there is basically no components on the ESC board. It's just FETs and like a couple little processors and nothing else. I wouldn't dare try anything above 4S on that ESC, but who knows what it'll actually run at. The flight controller is a flight controller. I have used a lot of flight controllers, and they all essentially fly the same. Even the Radix flight controllers essentially fly the same. They all have different vibration profiles, but I really would never be able to tell a difference between one flight controller and another, between two of the same quad. I might be able to tell some difference if I built 30 quads with one flight controller versus 30 quads with another flight controller. But in essence, I don't look at the flight controller as a component that's going to make or break the performance of the quad in any way. I built 5-inch quads with 16x16 stacked flight controllers, just the flight controller, just to like cram it in somewhere really tight. It works the same as any other flight controller. One thing I do appreciate about this flight controller is that it does have connectors for everything. And while I'm not a fan of connectors, it's really convenient, especially on something that's so cheap and budget. I don't know if I care to have to solder everything in place. The connectors make it drastically faster to wire up, and something that is really nice about these connectors is that they have made it such that the connectors only plug in one way. You can't misplug any connector on this thing, which again, super nice, super nice. I mean, I don't know who does the Yashin anything, but super nice that they even considered that. The GPS unit on this thing, it works really well, and I'm surprised how well it works in beta flight also. This is the first time I've ever used GPS. It works shockingly well. I want to put GPS on all my quads now because why not? It's awesome. The VTX, who knows what it is? I don't trust it worth a damn, but hey, it's in there. The CADX camera in there is a complete piece of... Let's now get back to the motors, because like I said, I think the motors are the most important part of this quad. So who are the motors? Who is this thing actually for? I would never recommend this to the beginner, and unfortunately that's probably going to be the person that buys this thing, because they're going to look at it and say, oh my god, it's a 7-inch quad, it's $129, I want it. But in reality, they're going to have a really terrible user experience. Now, anybody experienced in this general hobby space is going to be able to pick this thing up and see all the components for what they're worth. And in my opinion, these motors, they perform really well. They don't perform like $15 or $14 or $16 motors like they might be. Actually, I haven't looked at the price up yet. And I really wonder or ask, is it worth spending the $31, $32 for something like the Brother Hobby 2806.5? I mean, that's a hefty motor. That motor is using fantastic magnets, fantastic magnet architecture, fantastic stator design with a 12mm bearing in there. Freaking awesome 12mm bearing in there, super ultra smooth. It's got a great stator set. The construction of the Brother Hobby Avenger 2806.5 is as good as motors get in the industry. And I'm telling you that this motor is about 90% as good as that motor. Even the the Racerstar T-Motor collaboration 2508 motor is about 90% as good as the Brother Hobby 2806.5. I would place the Racerstar T-Motor motor just barely above this, frankly, garbage built 2507 motor in terms of flight performance. However, the construction quality of that 2508 is definitely much better than this motor. But again, when you're flying 7 inches, this motor performs well, and your motor, I mean, if you crash, you're going to be breaking stuff, especially on a 7-inch quad. It's a lot of weight that you're carrying into the crash. This is a 922 gram all-up weight quad. So what do you actually get for spending $31, $32 on something like the Brother Hobby motor? it's really hard to recommend something like that over something like this or the Racerstar T motor, just because you don't want to have the absolute crummiest of motors. And the one thing you might actually gain out of all this, which I'm kind of holding back on, is reliability. Now, if you're going to be flying this thing in a cinematic style at an event that's meaningful, that you can't really afford to look bad at, or long range, you might really want that extra 1 or 2% of reliability to just have that peace of mind. But that extra reliability costs you like a lot more in terms of all the components. Now, if I was to build my ideal 7-inch quad for long range, for whatnot, I would pretty much choose all quality components. I would definitely want to use the best motors I can find. The T motor, Racerstar 2508 motor, is suitable in my opinion for 6-7-inch long range. I think that's a great motor, a great choice. But I would go with the best quality ESC I could find, just to make sure I have that little extra reliability. I would make sure I have a very nicely installed capacitor on there. I don't really care what flight controller, they all work the same. I've had the 5 volts go out on good ones, bad ones, it doesn't really matter. They all go bad. But I would prefer a more quality one, so I'd go with a Radix anyways, because at least they pay attention to their quality control, and I want that. The FPV camera, I would absolutely go with a Runcam, because those are the highest reliability cameras that I've used over the past several years. I just have had fewer failures with Runcams than any other camera, and that would be my general build out. So yeah, let me know what you think in the description below, because this is actually a really interesting discussion to me. Because in the past, a lot of pilots try to pitch their higher priced motors, and now we have a couple of motors in the market that are like $35 for a 5-inch motor, which I honestly don't know who is really buying, but people are buying them, versus now we have $15 motors that perform pretty much as I could not tell the difference between the $15 motors and a $35 motor when I put them side by side. It depends on which $15 motor you're choosing, but I couldn't with some comparisons. I mean, there are some really cheap motors, so I know what the cost of these motors are to produce. I know what the factory cost is. I know what the wholesale cost is. I know what the resale cost is. Yeah, the higher priced motors do have a higher margin, but the lower priced motors, they're not a whole lot cheaper to produce than the higher priced motors as well. So maybe there's a difference over there. I don't really know. This is really interesting. Now, I myself, that's it. That's finished with this thing. If you want to buy this thing, go for it. I wouldn't really recommend it to anybody still. I think the motors are totally fine if you want to buy them for like a nice cheap build. GPS is freaking awesome. It works amazingly well on Betaflight. I can't even believe how well it works on Betaflight. I haven't tried the return to home function, because that only works at 100 meters out, and I don't think my R9 is going to make it to 100 meters even, and I would rather not just lose a GoPro, or maybe I'll try it without the GoPro just to see what happens. But hey, it's really nice that it has that, and I think you have to leave accelerometer on. Whatever, I'll test it at some point. But yeah, really interesting that exists, so that's cool. R9, by the way, has been working suitably well for me. I wouldn't say it's been working stellar. I haven't had any problems, but the RSSI is a little bit worrisome. Now, I am using the R9 Lite, which is 100 milliwatt, and I do have the 1 watt R9 coming as well, so I'll test that and see how that goes as well. But so far, I've really had no problems with R9, and it is a really nice tiny module that fits in the controller really nicely. However, I do prefer Crossfire for everything. It's just, I want that peace of mind in my control link that I will not have to lose it or even worry about losing it. And if I do lose it, at least I'm using the best of the best, so I don't have to worry about it. At least think about that part. Anyways, yeah. Let's talk about this thing, and I'm going to have more thoughts about this area as well. Oh, one thing I absolutely despise about the motors is that there's a left hand and a right hand motor. I don't know why they do that. Anyways, okay, floss your teeth, take care, bye-bye.